Hello guys, Ashley here, also with the Asian fan about making another video. Like I said, I told you guys that I will be doing more videos. Like I said, if I'm not doing videos as much it's because things are very busy and things like that. I'm also just been editing a lot too, a couple videos and Halloween edits and such. But today I thought I would talk about One Tree Hill because to give you guys a heads up, I am watching a episode about One Tree Hill that I will be making a video about. I'm not gonna say what it is. It is from season 2. I will making a video about it because looking back at it, I realized that I feel like this character was not held accountable enough for what they did. So just gonna look out for that. But today I thought I would give my thoughts on the adult storylines in One Tree Hill. I always feel like the adult storylines were really also a really good part of the show, and I feel like I've never really given it the credit because they deserve it. So I thought I would talk about each adult storyline from season 1 to season 2 and season 3, and to give my thoughts on the storyline. So season 1, the major adult storyline in season 1 is the stuff with Karen and Dan, considering their past, the stuff with Karen and Keith, and their will they won't they situation, everything with Dan and Deb that is so messy, and everything between Dan and Keith. So the first one I'm going to talk about right off the bat is I'm going to talk about Dan and Keith as brothers. Dan and Keith really don't have a brotherhood. They don't really seem to get along that much. They seemingly kind of hate each other. And a lot of it is because Keith really had to step in and be the father and pretty much a surrogate husband to the family that Dan abandoned, and that Dan definitely wants to forget that he alleged. Dan wants to forget that he was with Karen and that he is his father. So I think what really is like the architecture between them two, the major beef between them two, is that everything is always about Dan and his failures. Dan never takes accountability on the position that he put Karen and Lucas in. If they what if Dan didn't have a brother? Karen would have been a single mom, figuring out how she was going to raise Lucas, because they don't really talk about her parents. They'll talk about whether or not her parents were involved or whether or not she was kicked out and things like that. We just know that she got pregnant at 17, then chose college over being a father. And look, the more older I get, I realize that no one is prepared to be a teenage parent. I am not mad at Dan for not wanting to be a teenage dad that young. What I'm mad at is that he knew he had a child out there and he did nothing to fix it. Even though when I get to season 2 talking about that storyline, it's a little bit here too in season 1. But only to find out that he did want to see Lucas and that he did want to be part of his life. And that Karen was a major liar. Don't worry, I'm going to get into that when I talk about her again. But I really just like in season 1, the major issue between him and Keith is that they really don't have a brother relationship, because I think Dan resents the fact that Keith thought it was his duty to take care of Karen and Lucas, knowing that he wanted nothing to do with them in the first place. And I feel like he might already want to. Someone had to step up and make sure she wasn't alone during her pregnancy, and Keith was there for her thick and thin, her and Lucas. Actually became a father to Lucas, not surrogate, a father to Lucas. He was there for them no matter what. Like, he had the storylines where some of the instances, the father-son basketball game, he got mad at Keith for wanting to be part of the basketball game. He talked about you're not really a father. He talked about it's just a game. He talked about it's not just a game. He said it's a high school ritual. He's a basketball, it's everything. It's like, damn, get out of here. Everyone's trying to have good sportsmanship, and you want to be here and you want to make it a competition, and we ain't got time for that. Him and Keith got into it at a dinner in season 1 because he was trying to pretty much like poking the bear. Like, Keith was drinking, and everything like that, and he tried to sit there and pretty much like rile him up. So Keith tried to beat him up, and Karen got him out of there because he was really drunk. He ended up telling Karen that he loved her while he was drunk. You know, like, Dan just knows how to get under people's skin, and I think sometimes it's hard to not react when someone is getting really under your skin, and I think Dan did that a lot. I think he got a kick out of it when it came to Keith. Another situation where him and Keith got into it is that when Keith decided to make him co-partner in his auto shop, and Dan just decided he's going to take over the whole business. Are you serious? I'd rather make you partner in my business, and you telling me that you're my boss now? Screw you. You got me fucked up if you think I'm going to answer to you, my dickhead of a brother. You got me fucked up. So Keith decided he's not going to work for Dan, and then Dan gave me back the auto shop. And then him and Keith got into it again because Dan didn't like the idea of Keith giving Nathan advice on life and basketball. He talked about if you took any advice from Keith, you'll end up in a second-rate auto shop. I just feel like, Dan, basketball isn't everything. You made Nathan so screwed up emotionally that he has no idea who he is outside of playing basketball and trying to please you with basketball. It's like you made him so screwed up that you take no accountability for it. And I just feel like Dan does not look at the big picture. He never looks at the big picture. So I don't understand why I'm saying that. Dan he don't care about other people's feelings. He don't care. So that's really all I have to say about Dan and Keith is that they really don't have a relationship. They seem to not really get along. It seems to be a lot of jealousy. Really on both of their parts, really. I think Keith kind of overlooks into the fact that Dan got with Karen when he didn't deserve her, and she got with the wrong Scott brother. And I think Dan kind of looks at the fact that Keith came to pretty much he put himself in a position where he was kind of like a surrogate father to Lucas and a surrogate husband to Karen. He was there for them the whole time, during her whole pregnancy, during everything. He was there for Karen. He never once abandoned her. So I think in Dan's mind, he thinks that Keith is trying to one-up him of a situation which that's not what he's doing. So that's how I feel about that. The next storyline that I want to talk about is let's talk about Dan and Deb. Oh my god. This storyline was really good in season 1. It's just so much straight down here. So, you know what? I'm going to say this about Dan and Deb. I'm not going to make a short video, but I'm just going to level this out. I think the major reason why this marriage failed in season 1 is mainly on Dan. Like, I try to sit here and I try to think, what is Deb's fault? What is Deb's fault? What does Deb do? And I can't sit here, I can't think of one. The only thing is that Deb, she definitely should have not taken so much time away, especially if she was afraid of what Dan his control over Nathan. She should have not taken so much time away. I feel like she should tell Nathan the truth about her and Dan's past, about her having an affair because she got pregnant young at 19, and that as soon as she got pregnant, her and Dan dropped out of college and then immediately got married. All these things were happening, and like she said, she didn't even know who she was. I think she should have told Nathan the truth because all Dan did was manipulate the situation, and she should have been more honest. I definitely would give Deb that. She definitely should have been more honest. But on Dan's part, Dan was a trash husband. He was a trash father. He was controlling. He was competitive. He was impulsive. He was rude. Dan, every time he was in the wrong, he always tried to point at someone else for the blame. when Dan suggested they go to family counseling, he didn't like that. Because you know why? Because that would make him face his shit, and he didn't want to face that. He told Deb in therapy that he knew he had a future with her, unlike Karen. Like she said, me and her both ended up getting pregnant at the exact same time. She said, how do you explain being with me and not her? He said, with you, I saw a future. I think Dan being with Deb was all this escape. And honestly, think about it. It was a family. I think Dan. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think. I think Dan, him repeating the same. I'm not gonna say mistake because I don't ever want to call Lucas a mistake. I think him repeating the same thing twice, him getting two girls pregnant young. I think the reason why he did it with Deb was because he knew he was missing out on Lucas and Karen. So he decided to fake a knee injury and to have a family young. And then he ended up using, because he couldn't do basketball because he faked a knee injury, he decided to use Deb's money to create a dealership. And he got the audacity to act like he owned everything. Like, he thinks he owns everything. He manipulated a whole bunch of stuff in season 1. He told the court that, did you know that Deb threatened me, that she threatened to kill me? And she said, I don't think she really meant it, but I also understand that things happen in the moment. Like, I get it. He talked about, I'm gonna have to tell Nathan about all those dirty things in your past. Like, he was trying to do whatever he could to make Deb come back to him. Whatever he could. And like, it didn't work. Even when she came to his house and he was showing her, look at the people on the beach. They were happy. He said we could be happy again. She said the people on the beach were happy. She said she remembered it was a hurricane. She said that water washed over the entire sand. And she said the people in that picture washed away with it. And I feel like Dan, I get it, he was trying to fight for the marriage. I get it. But me personally, I just feel like I don't know what he was fighting for. It was very clear that Deb did not want to be married to him. She emotionally checked out. And he was still fighting for a marriage that she didn't want. Even though he messed up everything. He emotionally messed up Nathan. Mentally messed up Nathan. He emotionally and mentally messed up Deb in their marriage by being manipulative and by being gaslighting and by being completely controlling. Had the audacity to tell her that he owns everything. This is his house. And then she said, what you want, to close off my back? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Because all you care about is controlling everything. You don't care about fixing this marriage. You want to act like you want to be a part of this marriage just so you can control everything. Just so you can get your way. And that's not happening. To the point where he manipulated Nathan into choosing him over Deb to stay with. Like, man, I tell you, Dan is a piece of shit. I do not like him. I do not like him. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. The scene where Dan left Deb that voice message saying that he loves her and saying that he was coming over to fix her marriage. The scene before that was Deb and Keith talking, and them having a little heart to heart about them being heartbroken and how they kind of really rely on each other a lot lately, ever since some of the words between her and Dan. But you know what? I got a little bit of a hot take. Let me come out here and see how you hear me. I got a little bit of a hot take. I think Deb and Keith had great chemistry. And if things are different, I would have made them a couple in season 2. I think the storyline in season 2 would have been a lot more interesting. I don't even hate the Jules storyline. I actually really do like the Jules storyline. But how interesting would have been in season 2 if Deb and Keith were seeing each other. Like, that would be interesting. And me personally, I feel like even though Karen and Deb are friends, I feel like Karen really don't have no room to talk. Which is why when I get to season 2, we're gonna talk about Karen, because I feel like season 2 did a huge derailment to her character. Karen got on my nerves in that season a lot. I feel like even if she did find out, I feel like she really ain't got no room to tell Nate can't date because Karen, you didn't want him, in my opinion. So Dan walked in on them because they just had sex. He walked in on them, and Keith was he Dan drove home, and Keith was chasing after him. He told him that it wasn't something that was going on; it just happened. He told Keith that they're no longer brothers and that he doesn't exist to him, and he punched his window. I feel like Dan needs to understand that he lost Deb a long time ago. He lost her a long time ago. Me personally, I feel like I feel no remorse about Deb and Keith sleeping together. I don't care about Dan being hurt. I really don't. I hate to say that. I don't care. Even though Keith knew it was wrong because he knew that they were still going through a rough patch. They were already divorced. Dan just didn't sign the papers. Deb signed them, but he didn't sign the papers. He didn't sign them until he was officially done once he saw them in bed together. So all this time was her saying that she don't want to be with you, that her and Nathan would be better off without you. That stuff you couldn't listen to. So it took for her to physically have sex with your brother for you to see that she no longer wanted to be married with you. I just didn't get it with Dan. It's like he wasn't listening before. It's like it shouldn't have not taken him. It shouldn't have taken him to walk in on them to know that Deb does not want to be with him. And I don't think she slept with Keith to let that be a message to Dan. Her and Keith were very vulnerable, and they were emotionally heartbroken by their failed relationships, and they slept together. They had sad sex. I mean, it happens sometimes, you know? And I thought they had great chemistry because honestly, you really feel like that moment of them sleeping together is not really random because if you watch season one, they had a lot of scenes together. He was there. He was there for her when her and Dan were going through the divorce. So if you think about it, them sleeping together, it makes a lot of sense. So I feel like they had great chemistry. I really do feel like they had great chemistry. I hate that it ended after season one. I wish it would have continued. It would have continued a lot more in season two, in my opinion. But it is what it is, I guess. Me personally, I feel no remorse about this seeing them because he was a trash husband. He did not want have any romantic gestures. There was always false promises and false hopes. The fact that he tried to manipulate her in the episode when his mother and father came for his birthday, when the truth was revealed that he lied about everything, and his dad was like, "So you just quit? Couldn't even be man enough to own up to it." Um, that episode definitely looked at Dan differently. He was obviously the biggest hypocrite in the world. He felt the exact same pressure that Nathan felt, and he knew the best way to get his dad to stop pressuring him was to fake an injury and to never ever play basketball again. Because he knew that he was living up to a standard to his father that he probably knew he couldn't reach. The pressure got to him. And he did what he thought he had to do. I'm not judging the man. What I am judging him for is acting like he was just this great basketball player and that he was awesome. No, that's not what happened. You faked an injury and you got a girl pregnant, got married, and you decided to run a dealership. And now you want to take out your failed accomplishments out on your son and pressure him to the point of mentally drained. Like, I don't think Dan understood that at all. And when Nathan told him, so you understand the exact same pressure that I'm on, and instead of trying to talk to me and let me know what's the real, you decide to emotionally drain me. He talked about that he loved basketball more than anything, and he said that the game, he loved nothing more than the game. He said all he wanted for Nathan is to feel exactly what he felt when he was on the court. And I think he said, I try to remember, he said that as long as Nathan doesn't turn out to be him, he said he would never be him. And I honestly feel like, because, a lot of people like to, TikTok and be funny and things like that and say, Lucas is more like Dan. It's like, no, not really, honestly. I know it's popular to hate Lucas, and me personally, I think is really obsessive. And me, I think Lucas might be one of the most overhated characters in TV history, because the same, let's get this straight, the same, let's just say all Lucas' bad actions, these are the same people who will go on and give a guy like Conrad a slap on the wrist. And I don't understand that. The same guy, like Conrad, you will believe all these kisses that Conrad gets. And the moment that someone takes up for Lucas and tries to explain that his actions are not as bad as we like to make them out to be, you're crucified as someone who, you're a bad person. How can you defend him? He was the devil incarnate. Blah, 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 blah. Which is like, no, bro. Lucas is not this type of person the people are painting him out to be. I don't believe that for a second. I still feel like that Nathan is still more like Dan at heart, because just like Dan in season 5, Nathan couldn't let go of the fact that he worked so hard, and that when he fell down, he forgot everything. He emotionally abandoned his family in season 5 because he risked himself of being a basketball player. And I get it. He worked his ass off. He did. From high school ball all the way to college ball, Nathan worked his ass off. That one moment of impulsiveness ruined everything for him. And he in that entire time in season 5 in those episodes with Nathan, he was trying to find other people to blame instead of trying to point the finger at him. This man emotionally abandoned his family, abandoned his son, abandoned Haley, became a drunk. And all it took was for him to say sorry. Like I said, even though that moment with Jamie, when he got up and he walked over to Jamie and he said that he was sorry, is one of the most emotional scenes in the show. It gets to me every time. Today I'm not tearing up because I thought it would be a little bit more strong. I'm not tearing up, but I know if I go to that episode right now, I would be bawling my eyes out, because that scene was so real. I love the fact that Nathan said sorry, but something I realized when I watched Nathan is that all it takes is for him to say sorry and everything is just kind of forgiven. As soon as he says sorry, him and Haley are laying in the bed together, they're kissing, they're kind of being like their old self. It's like, wow, so Haley, those last 4 months, the last 4 years, because he got all that stuff that happened with Nathan happened 4 months ago. So, Haley, the last 4 months never happened. Him being emotionally closed off, him being distant, all of this, the drinking, the throwing, the shattering, all that stuff. All that is just erased, all because now he realized that he don't want to lose his family. It shouldn't have taken Haley, even though it is one of the best One Tree Hill scenes of the entire show. The scene where Haley tells Nathan that she cannot live one more night like this. One more night like this and he will have nothing. It should not have taken Haley to beat some motherfucking sense into Nathan to know that he would have to lose his goddamn family over his fucking behavior. That's ridiculous to me. I understand, it makes sense in that context, but the reason why it pisses me off is because as soon as Haley beats it into his brain, it's all forgiven. I think that is probably the biggest understanding between him and Lucas, is that when Lucas apologizes and he takes accountability, it's not good enough for nobody. But when Nathan does it, it's all good in the hood. It's all groovy. It's all gravy. That pisses me off to no end. Don't worry, a lot of things I'm saying right now will be saved for him and Lucas video. But let's get back to Dan and Deb, because I'm almost done with them. The last thing that I want to mention when it comes to Dan and Deb is I didn't finish talking about the scene they had when he faked his injury. When she told him, "Do you know how exhausting it's been living with this lie?" He said, "Don't try to rewrite history." He said, "We both dropped out of college to raise Nathan." She said, "You really want to play that game?" He said, "Did you think that maybe I lied to protect you?" She said, "That's what you need to tell yourself." The fact that he's trying to sit there and manipulate her into thinking that they both dropped out at the same time to raise Nathan. It's like, no, that's not what happened. I dropped out because I got pregnant. I thought you dropped out because you had a fake injury. But only turns out that's not what happened. You didn't even have a fake, you didn't even have a knee injury. It was healed. You just didn't never want to play basketball again. So I dropped out of college for no reason because you didn't want to play basketball anymore. Crazy. Like you said, I thought I knew the man that I was marrying. Man, Dan, shoo. The last thing I want to talk about, the last 2 months I want to talk about is the scene of it's the final episode. It's the last episode of season 1. And it's the scene where where Deb was signing the divorce papers and she started crying. And Dan walked up to the table and he said, tears on the day of our divorce. He said that he never thought he would have seen that. She said that she was sitting here thinking about having second thoughts, but she said she realized that since he's been such an asshole and an ass during the entire marriage, that she don't need to think twice. So she signed the papers. He said that the night that they were going to get married, the night of their reception, I think the reception, they had a party with, an engagement party. I guess I'll say that, engagement party. He said that he went to Tree Hill that night, and he said that he saw Karen. He waited outside of her apartment, and he was going to go in there and tell her that he was going to choose her and Lucas over Deb. He told Deb that he came back and he realized that being there for her and Nathan was the right thing. He said that he has always done the right thing when it came to Deb and Nathan, and that he's always done his part. You know what? I'm gonna go to the episode real quick. Just give me a minute, y'all. I'm gonna go to the episode real quick. Because I can't remember exactly what he said, but I know he said something on the midst of that. If y'all were One Tree Hill fans, then y'all know what I'm talking about. Let me look at the episode real quick. Okay, here it is.
Until I considered what a hideous...
Really, Deb, tears. On the eve of our divorce.
No. Actually, I was sitting here having second thoughts. Until I considered what a hideous monster you've been for most of our married lives.
Well, since we're frolicking down memory lane, let's take a stroll back to the campus the night you told me you were pregnant.
Okay, I had the story wrong. Okay.
I came to you that night to tell you I made a decision. I was leaving school at the end of the semester.
Because of your fictional
injury?
No, Deb, that's just what I told you. I was leaving because there was a girl I left behind. A girl who was carrying my child. And a girl that I loved very much.
Mm-hmm.
But when I told you I was leaving, you told me you were pregnant.
I didn't know you
were leaving Karen.
No. All you knew is that I would do right by you and Nathan. Which is something I've tried to do every day since then. And if that makes me a monster, then so be it.
Okay, so y'all just heard what he just said. I had the story wrong. Deb told him that she was pregnant. I'm sorry I had it wrong. My bad. I had to go back and refresh my memory. Deb told him that she was basically pregnant. That he was leaving college. He was leaving at the end of the semester, like she said, because of your fake fictional knee injury. He said the day that he decided that he was leaving the last semester, she told him that he was pregnant. That she was pregnant. he told her that he sticked around because it was the right thing for her and Nathan, and he's trying to do the right thing by them. So tell me why I should be with you. You're not even in love with me. You're not even in love with me. You're only with me because you thought it was you thought it was the best thing for both of us to stick around. Like, what? What? And then him saying that he would have abandoned her after he would have abandoned her anyway because he wanted to be with Karen. It's just like, really? Really? Dan is truly a piece of shit. He's a piece of garbage. You want me to, you sitting here and you tell me you fight for this marriage, you don't even want to be in this marriage? What sense does that make? You got me fucked up. Like, and then the scene where he had a heart attack, when she said she was coming there to apologize, and he fell down and she said, he started having a heart attack and he said, you better hope I die. And she said, calm yourself. And everything like that when it all went down. And then season 2 they try to make her, in season 2 they try to make Dan and Deb a thing again. And me personally, I just wasn't feeling it. I just thought, what was the reason? It didn't work the first time. It didn't work the second time. It's just like, what's the reason? Like, why are they doing this? It just didn't feel like it was a reason to try to make that into try to make them try to be relationship anymore. I was just kind of over it. So, my verdict on Dan and Deb is that they really had no business really being married as long as they were. And I'm very happy that Deb came to her senses and realized that Dan is really just a manipulative, controlling asshole. On to the next one. The next relationship we're going to talk about is Keith and Karen and their storyline in season 1. So we all know that Keith was in love with Karen. He never said anything about it until the night he got drunk and he revealed that he loved her. The next day, Karen didn't say anything about it until she got into a cooking program. And the day that she left for the cooking program, she kissed Keith on the lips, and said that remember he said that you should start fighting for things and you should be proud going after them. She kissed Keith on the lips. And he had a lot of hope about them being a thing, because, he's always been in love with her. He's always wanted Karen. And the day before she came back, the day that she was coming back, him and Lucas got into a car accident because Keith was drinking beer. Keith told her that he was drinking, but he wasn't drunk. She told him that how could he be so irresponsible? This is the most important thing to her in her life. She told him to leave. She was really mad at Keith. I understand she definitely had her right, her reasoning. Even though he wasn't drunk, it still was a car accident, and my son was in that accident. He's my only kid. If anything bad would happen to him, I definitely understand where Karen coming from. I definitely get it. But yeah, this is thing. So, and this is why it pisses me off. Oh my God. So he pays for Lucas' medical bill, and she tells him that she's gonna pay him back every cent. He said she doesn't have to do that. He said he was happy to do it. And she asked me again, she said, why would he drink before driving? He said he wasn't drunk. He said he was nervous about seeing her because he said that he wanted everything to be right when she came home. But he said it doesn't matter anyway. He said he ruined everything. Lucas is mad at Karen because she won't give Keith the time of day to explain himself or to forgive him. I understand she'll gotta forgive him like yet or anything like that. But yeah, this is the same woman who was willing to give Dan redemption in season 4. The man who abandoned her, who left Lucas fatherless. Yeah, she could give Dan a second chance, but she couldn't give Keith a second chance in season 1. Crazy. Anyway, so in the episode, I believe it was episode 16, it is because he came at the end of episode 15. At the end of episode 15, Keith knocked on Karen's door and he asked her to marry him. She looked at the ring and she said she don't know what to say. He said yes, he did this to her. She said that going to the food program in Italy, it made her open up her mind to a lot of things. A lot of her perspective changed. He said on us, she said on everything. He said before she left, they had lunch together. I agree. You kissed him, you're telling him you're going to go after everything that you want. So you kissed him, and that all changed because when Lucas got into a car accident, it wasn't his intention to kill Lucas or anything like that. And like I said, he wasn't drunk, but they found alcohol in his bloodstream. But he wasn't drunk, but they found alcohol in his bloodstream. I get it. I definitely understand where Karen's coming from. I don't want anyone to sit here and act like I don't understand where she's coming from. Lucas is her only child. If anything bad would happen to him, I don't think Karen would have been able to live. But I feel like, I think she was just way too hard on Keith. Like, way too hard. When he kept saying that he would have never done anything to hurt Lucas intentionally, I just think she was just way too hard on Keith. Like, I just think she was just way too hard on him. He said that he's always been in love with Karen since they were teenagers, and that he wants to be with her. He loves her and he wants to marry her. She said she loves him too. You know what she told him? She said, "You're my best friend." When I tell you that line just me off, and Keith's face when she said it, just like all the clarity that he needed to hear. Now, there's nothing wrong with being friends with just someone. You can't force anyone to love you. But the situation here was that Karen did love Keith. I just feel like when he got into that car accident with Lucas, I just feel like she had to take a step back, and that she didn't want to throw herself into anything. But let's be real. Karen did love Keith, and she never once saw him as just a friend. I'm not buying into that propaganda. She said that she cares about him very much, but she can't marry him. When she turned down his proposal, that shit really pissed me off, because I still hate her for it, because again, this is the same woman who went and hugged Dan once you found out that he saved Lucas from the car. So he's worthy of a hug. He's not worthy of a conversation. He's not worthy of a sorry and kiss and making up. Not saying you gotta marry the man, but y'all can't just work it out and try to go back to what y'all were and try to go and move a little bit slow. Like, it was just so many things that pissed me off about it that I just didn't understand why. I just didn't get it. And when Lucas found out about it, he said, "Did you ever love him?" She said as a friend, yes, but she said she'd never let her heart go there. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Her face was screaming bullshit. Everything she was saying was screaming absolute bullshit. I never would believe that. She said, "I never let my heart go there." She said, "Love succeeds a friendship." Yes, it can. Love can succeed a friendship if it's unrequited, if it's one-sided. But if both of y'all love each other and y'all both know this is how y'all both equally feel, then it shouldn't be hard when y'all get in a relationship. I don't understand. He said it just sucks for Keith, that's all. And then he said goodnight. I definitely with Lucas. It sucks for a guy like Keith. He's a great guy, and you're missing out, in my opinion. You're the one missing out. Then Keith found out, they patched things up, and he said he's with a Tree Hill. He said that he wants to find something new, that this year has just been way too crazy. Losing his dealership, well, not his dealership, his auto shop, getting into the car accident, and then Karen saying no to his proposal. And he said that he will always care about her and Lucas, and he said he will always be there for them. So he said the best thing for him is to just move away for a while. And she supported him on it. And when he asked Karen in the last episode of the flashback, he said, "Did you ever love me?" she said that he's not ever friend. He said, you ever love me like that? She said she don't know. He said that he can live with her not loving him, and that he can live with her turning down his proposal. But he said what he can't live with is her not opening up her heart to anyone, her not giving herself to nobody. Because I do think Karen is a great person. She's a great mom. She's a great businesswoman. I think the one thing is that I wouldn't want her to be alone because she was hurt. I think that's the worst thing to ever do is close your heart off or close your mind off to anything because you've been hurt. And he said you gotta find someone who see how staggering you are, how pushy you are. And he said that he can't live with. He can't live with her being alone. I remember everyone being so mad when he said that he stuck by her and Lucas and what does he get out of it. I don't think he meant in the sense of she owes him marriage. I think he meant in the sense of he stuck around when everyone else abandoned her. How could she sit there and really say that she never once felt like she was in love with him? I think that was what he couldn't deal with, and I definitely understood what he's talking about. Not saying that she owed her marriage or anything of the sort, but you were going to sit here and tell me that the whole time we've been connected, that you never felt anything towards me? That to me screams bullshit. And Lucas decided that he wanted to go to Keith too because he had a very bad year. He won. He got on a basketball team, and then he fell in love with 2 girls. Stuck behind Brooks back to be with Peyton, which wasn't right, but him and Peyton were it from the very first episode, so that's not true, and it just ruined everything. So he finally needed a fresh start too, and you know what? I love that for Lucas. I wish they would have been there a little bit longer because in season 2 it seemed like they weren't really there that long, but hey, the Karen and Keith storyline in season 1 was very good. I definitely think Karen, I still hate Karen for turning down his proposal because I just feel like she was just full of BS to me, and I just feel like it just didn't make sense for her to turn down his proposal. The last thing I'm going to say is the whole Karen and Dan debacle. So Karen and Dan were high school sweethearts. They thought they were going to get married, they thought they were going to live in a big house, and then Karen got pregnant, and Dan just abandoned her the night that she told him in the gym that she was pregnant. She mentioned in season 1. She told him the night in the gym that she was pregnant. He stood there and told her that he's choosing college over being there and being involved in her pregnancy. And she came back to that gym and faced that. Mainly, pretty much season 1, Karen and Dan don't really interact that much season 1, but when they do interact, you can definitely tell there's a lot of history there. Like, in season 1 when she told him that he has no right to be a sick of how many days of his life, or anything like that, and everything, I definitely agree. Her person's gonna try to sit there and tell everybody that he can't be involved in basketball team. You never once cared about Lucas. You never once was involved in his life. So don't even try to sit there and tell anyone that they should give him a shot because you don't want people to know about your dark secret, about you being a father to both of these boys on this team. Like, the fuck? And, you know, the scene they had in episode 7 when she was in the room and he asked her what she was doing here, and she told him that she really did a good job of herself and everything like that. And she said, why can't you let go of what happened 17 years ago? He said people won't let him forget, which I could somewhat understand. People always bring up, you know, Karen being pregnant, but you know, that's a fact. You can't just forget that she was pregnant because you don't want other people to remember her. So she told him, why can't you let go of what happened 17 years ago? If you're so happy and you're so happy where you at, why are you caring so much about me being here? She thanks him for saving Lucas, but the real meat and potatoes is when Dan dropped the bomb saying that he wanted to be involved in Lucas' life and that Karen told him that he couldn't be. that she lied to Lucas and lied to everybody about Dan wanting to be involved and that he wanted to have one husband. She lied to everyone. And I always feel like that this is a very typical single mother thing, that single mothers will lie about saying that the father of the kid didn't want to be involved, didn't want to do that, just because they were hurt about how things went down. Me personally, I don't think that's right. You should not lie to your kids because you were upset about how things went down. She definitely lied. She lied about Dan wanting to be involved, and Lucas asked her, he said, what was he like? She said, do you want to get to know him? He said he don't know. I don't think he should miss the opportunity because you lied to me. I mean, me personally, no. I mean, yes, of course when you're a kid, you want to know your parents if they abandoned you. But I think a part of me was a little bit scared about being rejected again. And I think Karen definitely should take the blame for it. Lucas could have had a relationship with Dan a long time ago if she would have just left him. You talk about Dan can't let it go. I understand why you're upset. He abandoned you. I get it. But that should not have to do with the fact of him having a relationship with his father. That's it. Period. And she told him that once upon a time he was a great person. And I just thought she was wrong. And I didn't like the fact that she did tell Dan that he was really mad and he dropped that bomb just because he was upset that Karen did do it by herself, that she did make it. She didn't crumble and fall because he wasn't involved. She actually made it. But she still should not lie. That still ain't right. So I think the entire storyline is just all about the past and how the past sometimes it can't leave you. Even if they're living in the same town, the past still follows them around. They're gonna always bump into each other. It's just inevitable for them to live their past because there was just so much things that was undone, so many things that were just unsaid. There's a lot of apologies that were left off the table, and me personally, I definitely think that season 1 storylines, adult storylines, are really good. Season 2, however, I think season 2, the best adult storyline from season 2 was really the Keith and Juliet storyline, in my opinion. I really could not stand Karen. Now, I can understand her being mad about Lucas not wanting to take the heart test, things like that, even though it's not her decision to force him. Like, her taking shit out of his room, I did not agree with. Like, the way you don't take that test and that stuff, I took out your room. I don't believe that. At the end of the day, it is Lucas' health. It is up to her whether or not he wants to know. She can't pressure him into doing it, but also understand she's a mother at the end of the day. So, as a mother, I need to know how you're doing health-wise. But I think she just kept trying to pressure Lucas. I think she never once tried to hear his side. And it's like that, I don't agree with. But the real me, I didn't care about her and Andy. I did not care about that. Child, you can take that and run for it. I did not care about that storyline with her and Andy. The real me payoff is when she got mad about Keith wanting to get married to that girl, Jules, not really that, Jules. Talk about how well you know this girl. She could be some gold digger trying to get his money. Like, girl, you don't even know Jules. You don't even give her the time of day. Like, you and Keith barely interact. And that too, I thought there was not a lot of Karen and Keith interactions in season 2. Like, she really pissed me off. And then she found out about who Jules was. Even though Lucas and Dan knew before she did, she went to the wedding and essentially ruined the wedding for her own enjoyment. Like, Karen intentionally ruined that wedding. She gotta understand that no matter if they would have gotten married, there still is not a proper way or a correct way to approach the situation with Julie. Even I feel like if someone would want to say anything, it should have been waiting before Keith and her got married. And that's what Lucas is going to do. He's going to go back there and tell Keith the truth Even though Jules told him not to, he was going to because she kept saying she was going to and she didn't. But then when he went there, Keith proposed and she said yes, and he didn't want to ruin his happiness. All Keith wants is to get married and have a family. He wants to be on the next level in his life. And Dan decided to make it into a game because he was mad that Keith and Deb slept together. Even though he lost Deb a long time ago, way before her and Keith slept together. Like, he's just delusional. So me personally, I think Karen was a bitch for intentionally ruining their wedding. On purpose, for her own enjoyment. She talks about, a girl's name is Emily. She talks about how can you put Keith through all this pain and confusion. You mean all the pain and confusion that you put him through? You said no. I said yes. You gonna put that away from him too? Like, I couldn't believe that she had put you try to ruin his wedding. And then she get mad when he don't want nothing to do with her. You would think she tried to ruin my wedding. My wedding. And then you want to say something at the end, at the incorrect time? No. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Get out my house, get out of my apartment, and don't come back. Like, I definitely feel like Keith had every right to leave if he was to, because that just wasn't right. Everybody was wrong. Lucas was wrong for not saying something, even though I understood why he did it. He wanted Keith to be happy. He knew how much Keith wanted to be married and wanted to have children. But at the end of the day, someone should have said something. Period. Except for that, a lot of the dark storylines in season 2 were not that good, really. Like, everything with Dan and Deb, them trying to be a thing, I didn't care about that. I love Dan as a villain. That's never going to change. I did like the idea of him and Deb having their banter back and forth when she found out that he had the ledger of all his illegal activities, all of the debt money and all that type of stuff. And him saying that he would put it on her. She tried to turn him into the police. She's telling him that she's boiling some hot water and some syrup. She was throwing on his skin and watch it burn. Like, her and Dan were really toxic. Like, toxic as hell. They should have not been a couple. And Dan really wasn't shit for Lon and Nathan and telling him that their addiction started when he got married to Haley. He was not shit for that. He was being a manipulative asshole. Like, Dan, God, I love him as a villain, I really do. But I just hate his character. Like, I hate him. Like, it's a love-hate thing. I love him as a villain, but I hate him as well. Like, he's just, oh my God, he's just always there. Like, he just always makes situations worse. And I hate it. But to me, I think the best adult storyline was everything with Keith and Jules. It was the best thing because it had the most layers to it. Everything else was just blah. Like I said, everything, if it's not Dan being a villain, then I didn't really care about the storyline outside of the Jules. Season 3 really wasn't a lot of adult storylines, really. I feel like the most adult storylines were everything with the election, with Dan and Karen trying to figure out who's going to be the next mayor, and then end up winning. They trying to figure out who burned down the dealership in season 2, and he was thinking that it was Keith who did it, only for Dan to tell him that she did it at the end of season 3, which that first one was really good. Wait, hold on. Did I say? I didn't say the adult storylines were bad season 3. There weren't many, but they were good. Like, the adult storylines were actually good. Like, I actually liked the election stuff with him and Karen. It was fun. It was funny. I love the stuff with, I loved everything with Dan trying to find out who tried to kill him in the ship fire. I love the fact that Deb was the one who did it, and she was trying to cover up the tracks, trying to make sure that Dan doesn't find out it was her. Lucas knew it was her, and he gave her the last piece of evidence and told her to get rid of it. She went to Keith that night, and she tried to talk Keith out of killing Dan, because he was going to kill him. She talked him out of it. She decided she took care of it. She decided she was going to kill Dan. And she told Nathan said that you have the guts to kill him and she didn't have the guts to leave him. Me personally, I'm on Dan's side either way. Hell, Dan deserved it. Me personally, I would have not given two fucks if he died and I did shit fire. So on my mama, I would have to give a fuck. They were Nara. Oh, that was pretty good. I love the stuff with Karen and Keith, even though it was short-lived. I loved it. With him coming back and them being in a relationship and Karen asking Keith to marry her and him telling Lucas that he wants to adopt Lucas and have it be his son. Dan being jealous of their happiness, you know, him being outside their house, watching them eat, thinking that should be him. Like, I love all of it. The school shooting episode will forever be an episode that moved me to my core. It's such a great episode, and it sucks that he died because I loved the character, and I really wanted him and Karen to be in games. They're one of my favorite adult relationships. I love them. Even though it was short-lived, there was still so much layers to that love story that I hate that it ended that way. But, yeah, season 3 was really good. Like, I feel like season 3 did the adult storyline just like season 1. Like, they were fantastic. And season 4, we didn't have much outside of the forced relationship between Karen and Dan, which I was just not a fan of. Like, I didn't mind Dan wanting to be involved in her pregnancy if he didn't want her to be alone. That I didn't have a problem with. Him being her crib, him wanting to be her friend, him wanting to be there. That I didn't have a problem with. What I had a problem with is the writers trying to turn it into something romantic. I did not like it. It was weird, it was disturbing, it was gross. It made me lose respect for Karen. To the fact where she believed Dan over her own son when Lucas told her that he killed Keith. She fell for Dan's manipulation and she believed him over her own son. Like when Dan came in there and told Karen that she used to have a dog and she got rid of it, she said, she said, for a smart woman, you're being really dumb by letting Dan back into your life. She said this is the same man who abandoned you, who left Lucas fatherless. He treated Keith horribly. She said, do you remember Keith, don't you? She said, he was going around in his grave when he saw this shit. I was on Dan's side. Dan was speaking the motherfucking gospel truth. Karen, you a dumbass bitch. Period. Pregnant or not pregnant, you a dumbass hoe for letting this man back inside your life when he abandoned you. When he didn't give two fucks about how you and Lucas was doing, how y'all was struggling. He didn't care. I don't care how many times he said he was gonna go back to town and be with her. He didn't give two shits. He didn't give a fuck. He didn't give a fuck. He did not care. I don't want to hear that crap. No. I did not like that. I didn't like the storyline of the writers trying to make Karen and Dan into a romantic duo, a romantic relationship. I was not a fan of that, but I did not mind him being there for her during her pregnancy. But them trying to turn that into a love thing, not a fan. And you had the whole situation with Deb relapsing on her drug addiction and trying to get herself better. She eventually got herself better when she did go back to rehab. And one of the things I forgot to mention in season 2 is the storyline where Lucas was in with Dan because Dan knew the secret about his heart addiction. People get so mad when it comes to this storyline. I think the storyline was dumb as well, but Dan also kind of threatened Lucas into moving in with him, telling him that he either moves in with him or he let people know about his heart addiction. And like, what the fuck was he supposed to do? He didn't want his brother to worry about him. She got worried about so many other things. Now she got worried about him having a heart addiction. Like, I understand what he was doing, but like I said before, I wish he would have just told Karen the truth. But we also find out that Dan also wanted to give Karen financial help when she was with Lucas, and she turned down his help. Again, she left Lucas again, but not telling him the truth about Dan wanting to help. Even though I'm not mad that she turned it down, because me personally, I definitely agree with her when she said that to him, help is control. help is control to him, and I'm not gonna let him have that level over me. But still, she still should have not robbed Lucas out of having a relationship with Dan all those years ago. Because who knows? Maybe this would have been different Dan. Maybe Dan would have been different back then. She don't know that. It's not right for her to just strip him away from her relationship with Dan because she don't think that it was a good idea. That's not her decision. So that's not about the adult storyline. I thought the adult storylines were good. They had their one bad season, which was probably season 2. But outside of that, I really enjoyed the adult season. I had a ball with them, and I love them. I think that people don't give the adult storylines enough credit in the show because they were just as interesting and drama-filled as the teenager stuff. But look, I'm just gonna let y'all know the videos that I'm making. Coming up, I have a rant discussing this ridiculous and delusional topic about people saying that Belly was never in love with Jeremiah and why I personally just don't agree with that. And you guys know I have my When She Did video coming up about a certain episode. So just look up for those 2 videos coming very soon. But today I'm going to charge this tablet up. I'm going to finish that episode, and I'm hoping by tomorrow that I might have that rant up and ready to talk about. But for today, enjoy this video and just watch out for any edits coming soon. Ciao.